I had no idea what I was auditioning for when I auditioned. So it's a kind of a hilarious question to say, like, what drew you to the material? Is that, like, I didn't realize that I was reading lines with Dopey.
Have you ever seen a film so tangled in rumors and controversy that even the biggest theater chain in America refused to keep it on their screens? That's exactly what happened when Disney unveiled its live-action update of a classic princess tale. The project seemed bulletproof at first, the backbone of a timeless story, a rising star in the lead role, and the most powerful name in family entertainment backing it. Yet somewhere along the way, excitement turned into confusion, and confusion exploded into full-blown backlash. Ultimately, AMC yanked the film from its theaters altogether, a startling, almost unheard-of move for a Disney release, and it left everyone from industry insiders to casual moviegoers asking the same question. How could a brand this dominant miss the mark so dramatically? In a business where Disney's name alone can usually fill auditorium seats, the decision by AMC and other chains to drop the film highlighted a much bigger shift in Hollywood's fault lines. Audiences seemed no longer willing to swallow any reinvention of a cherished story just because it sported a familiar title. Instead, the fiasco signaled a growing restlessness. Viewers want innovation, but not at the expense of what made the original legendary. And when controversies erupt, complete with dramatic live TV meltdowns and social media uproar, no amount of marketing muscle can hold a sinking ship afloat. It raises urgent questions for studios everywhere. If even Disney can't guarantee box office success with a storied classic, what does that mean for the future of reimagined hits? And how will studios handle the fine line between modernizing a beloved tale and alienating the audience they need most? It all started with cautious excitement. Disney had long been on a roll revisiting its classic animated library. From lavish costume pieces to computer-animated creatures, these updates usually smashed box office records. Viewers often showed up out of sheer nostalgia, eager to compare the reimagined version with the childhood favorite they cherished. Nobody doubted that a live-action Snow White, an adaptation of the studio's very first animated feature, would practically sell itself. The formula seemed so reliable that critics called it a no-brainer. Before controversy took hold, the production team hinted at a bolder, more contemporary take. Instead of the gentle, dreamy princess who waits for fate to guide her, they teased a character who takes charge of her own destiny. Much of the speculation revolved around how Disney would handle the film's iconic dwarfs, the prince, and the famously old-fashioned 1937 storyline. Still, whether you were excited or hesitant, there was a pervasive sense of curiosity. After all, if Disney could reinvent Cinderella, The Jungle Book, and so many other classics with relative success, what could possibly go wrong this time? Yet even in those early days, a few minor rumbles signaled that not everyone was on board. Some fans grumbled that too many animated favorites were being reshaped to fit modern tastes. A small but vocal corner of social media worried the studio might go too far, forgetting what made the original so beloved in the first place. But these whispers didn't yet point to disaster. They were merely cautious concerns, overshadowed by the glitz of Hollywood announcements and teaser trailers. Little did anyone suspect that this new Snow White would become one of the most contentious Disney projects in years, an unfolding drama that not even the best PR team could contain. As more details about the film's direction leaked, the chatter grew louder. Rumors swirled about sweeping changes to the plot. Some claimed the love story would be radically minimized, while others insisted the famous dwarfs would be unrecognizable. No one knew what to believe, but each new snippet stirred debate among longtime Disney lovers. In some corners of the internet, skeptics said it felt like the film wanted to denounce everything old-fashioned, ironically discarding what had made the original iconic. Was this an earnest modern reimagining, or was it an attempt to rewrite a piece of animation history? Meanwhile, speculation stretched beyond storyline changes. People started dissecting the film's promotional material, searching for glimpses of tension behind the scenes. Eager fans who usually devoured every tidbit of a new Disney release were now dissecting cryptic interviews and fleeting social media posts. Despite the sunshine and rainbows image that typically accompanies big-budget Disney rollouts, rumblings of unease persisted. A handful of insiders hinted that some cast members clashed with the creative direction. These were faint hints, overshadowed by red carpet appearances full of smiles and glittering gowns. But sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire. It didn't help that the lead actress, Rachel Zegler, came with a growing reputation for being outspoken. Early in her career, she'd received praise for her vocal talent and modern perspective, a trait that might have helped bring a classic character into today's world. However, the same blunt honesty that could be refreshing also risked igniting controversy, especially in a project as iconic as Snow White. A small wave of fans was wary. If Disney's lead wasn't fully in love with the original story, how could she possibly sell it to the rest of us? When Rachel Zegler officially landed the lead role, many saw the casting as a bold step. She had already demonstrated star power and a readiness to speak her mind on social issues. On paper, that sounded like an easy recipe for success. Why not have a heroine who openly discusses her convictions about modern womanhood and representation? The plan was to merge the warmth of a classic fairy tale with progressive values, appealing to both old fans and a new generation seeking more inclusive heroes. That plan started unraveling when Rachel's interviews and online posts revealed just how deeply she wanted to reshape the story. She often spoke about freeing the character from outdated tropes, insisting the 1937 original didn't reflect today's values. For some viewers, her comments felt triumphant, finally a leading lady who refused to be a passive fairy tale figure. But others recoiled, fearing that she was discarding the magic that made Snow White so timeless to begin with. Critics began accusing her of disrespecting the classic's legacy, pointing to interviews where she seemed to brush off the original significance as an artifact of a less enlightened time. Fans who cherished the original cartoon grew uneasy. They asked why Disney had to alter so many elements just to produce a modern remake. The pushback might have remained a mere grumble, if not for the unstoppable force of social media. Rachel Zegler frequently took to various platforms to share her unfiltered perspectives, sometimes clashing with the studio's carefully planned talking points. In a story as high-profile as a Disney princess remake, there's little room for conflicting messages. Soon, her boldness was being labeled controversial, and the cracks in the production's public image started showing. While Disney tried to keep the conversation on the film's empowering new direction, fans online zeroed in on Rachel's remarks. Viral posts claimed that the star's attitude dismissed everything they loved about the animated classic. Hashtags like #NotMySnowWhite began to pop up. Some critics shrugged it off as standard internet noise, but behind the scenes, the meltdown train was picking up speed. Adding fuel to the fire, rumors started circulating about tensions between Rachel and her co-star, the high-profile Gal Gadot. A household name, was rumored to bring serious star power to the film, potentially drawing in older audiences who might not be as familiar with Rachel. While nobody outside the production could confirm the truth, whispering suggested that differences in backgrounds or worldviews led to chilly interactions on set. Tabloid headlines insisted the two stars were barely on speaking terms. Whether true or not, such stories reinforced the sense that this wasn't the harmonious production Disney had hoped to sell. It all created an atmosphere of suspicion. Industry watchers speculated that Disney's once rock-solid marketing machine was struggling to keep the narrative under control. Instead of a simple storyline, it's Snow White, reimagined for the modern world. They faced a swirling mess of negative commentary. Hostile tweets, memes mocking reworked plot points, and outraged YouTube reactions started to dominate discussions about the movie. Even casual fans who paid little attention to Hollywood gossip heard snippets about the meltdown. Their question was no longer, should I see this film? But what the heck is happening with this film? What truly set this fiasco aflame was a daytime television appearance gone horribly wrong. The show was meant to be a friendly platform, a cozy environment to talk about fresh perspectives on an old classic. Disney's PR team had presumably laid out neat talking points, expecting an easy conversation that would charm stay-at-home viewers. Instead, things unraveled faster than a frayed rope. From the moment Rachel Zegler sat down, viewers sensed tension in the air. The host tried steering the conversation toward light-hearted anecdotes, but Rachel leaned in with a sharper tone. She reiterated that the original Snow White was fundamentally flawed, too outdated, and in dire need of a complete overhaul. As she spoke, one of the co-hosts exchanged alarmed glances with a producer off-camera, likely sensing that the conversation was veering off-script. Rachel seemed determined to voice her take in unfiltered form, whether or not it matched Disney's carefully rehearsed narrative. Then came the statement that would define the meltdown. Rachel implied that nostalgic fans should stop clinging to ancient fairy tale tropes. Her remark sounded, to many, like a direct challenge for them to grow up. Immediately, the host tried to pivot the topic, but it was too late. Within seconds, social media lit up with stunned reactions as viewers either celebrated her outspokenness or condemned her condescending attitude. The show itself attempted to cut to a commercial break, but not before Rachel exchanged heated words with the panel. It was a live broadcast, so every stutter, every gesture, and every frown was captured in real time. By the time they returned from commercial, the damage was done. By the time the film finally premiered, it seemed the meltdown had chased away half the prospective audience. Many families who might have gone just for the Disney brand name decided to skip it. Reviews poured in, labeling the final product a clumsy mashup of half-hearted modern updates and forced moralizing. The beloved elements, like the dwarfs and the prince, were so stripped down or reconfigured that longtime fans barely recognized their favorite fairy tale. Disney had banked on the marketing blitz to counter any negativity. But at that point, no amount of glossy ads could drown out the noise. As opening weekend numbers trickled in, it became clear the film was underperforming by a drastic margin. Industry analysts began calling it one of Disney's biggest misfires in recent memory. The meltdown overshadowed every storyline. Instead of asking how the special effects looked or whether the songs brought back childhood nostalgia, viewers fixated on Rachel's on-air statements and the never-ending social media circus. AMC, America's largest theater chain, had allocated numerous screens to the movie, anticipating a successful run. Week after week, those screens remained emptier than anyone had predicted. Even in prime locations, Snow White showings had shockingly low attendance. Competing films started selling out, while entire rows stayed vacant for Disney's latest juggernaut. Theater managers passed word up the chain that they were losing money by holding onto this underperforming title. Finally, AMC made a move that stunned everyone. They dropped the film altogether, pulling it from their theaters much earlier than planned. The news sent a jolt through Hollywood. For a major chain to axe a Disney release mid-run was practically unheard of. Usually, Disney's name alone ensured a certain level of success, guaranteeing a minimum theatrical window. But this time, AMC evidently calculated that continuing to show the film was worse than pulling it completely. Critics quickly labeled it an unprecedented rupture between a top exhibitor and the House of Mouse. Some wondered if it marked the start of a new era, one where brand loyalty alone couldn't salvage a poorly received project. So what does this spectacular implosion mean for the future of Hollywood's never-ending parade of remakes and reboots? For one thing, it's a sobering reminder that no brand is immune to backlash. Even if you have nostalgia on your side, a beloved property, and a promising cast, modern audiences will walk away if they feel disrespected or are simply bored by relentless controversy. While updating a classic can be a powerful way to keep stories alive, going too far or appearing too dismissive of what made it special risks alienating the very fans you rely on. Rachel's Glur's meltdown has become the cautionary tale of our time, a live TV segment that obliterated the film's reputation overnight, overshadowing everything from star power to Disney's legendary marketing might. AMC's unprecedented step to yank the film from its screens only sealed the fate of a production that might have otherwise struggled along for a few more weeks. Now, the episode stands as a case study in how quickly success can crumble when a project underestimates the emotional hold a classic fairy tale has on its audience. The question left hanging is whether studios will learn a nuanced lesson. Will they balance thoughtful updates with genuine respect for the source material? Or will they fall back on formulaic safety nets and gag orders for their stars? Maybe the meltdown will become a rallying cry for creatives who believe in open discourse. Or maybe it'll prompt an era of safe, unremarkable interviews that never deviate from the corporate script. Either way, the fiasco surrounding this live-action Snow White has forced the entertainment world to confront some uncomfortable truths about brand loyalty, artistic freedom, and the power of a single moment on live television. Ultimately, it raises a bigger question for all of us. Do we want our favorite childhood stories to evolve alongside modern values? Or do we crave the comfort of tradition? This film's downfall might be a sign that audiences want both, but only if it's done with genuine heart and respect. Perhaps future remakes will tread more carefully, and perhaps future stars will weigh their words more heavily. But one thing's for certain, everyone who witnessed this meltdown will remember it as the moment a fairy tale remake went spectacularly off the rails and changed the conversation about Hollywood's obsession with reimagining the past.